some soldiers, African Americans but not in combat, under a discussion of the Black experience. Indeed, in the American journey for the entire 20th and 21st centuries, the only non-black soldier is depicted fighting in Iraq. Despite the fact that 4 million Americans served in World War I alone, and over 53,000 were killed in that conflict, the American journey does not bother to include a single photo of the war. Instead, police are shown beating strikers with their nightsticks under the discussion of the dislocations of the post-war economy. Merely a photo or image study of major college history textbooks would reveal a great deal about their biases. But we have their words and content as well. With issue after issue, the Great Depression, slavery, World War I, the Far West, the Reagan years, modern textbooks are obvious in their leftward slant that America is a racist, sexist, imperialist regime. Even when trying to take conservatism seriously, historians show their true colors. In 1992, the American Historical Review published an article called "The Grassroots Right: New Histories of U.S. Conservatism in the 20th Century." The author, Michael Kazin, correctly noted that most historians were overwhelmingly cosmopolitan in their cultural tastes and liberal or radical in their politics. Then, Kazin proceeded to review 5 new books on American conservatism, including 2 histories of the Ku Klux Klan. Edward Shapiro, reviewing Kazin's article in Continuity magazine, observed, "Not only did Kazin identify conservatism with racism and nativism, he also drew attention to the similarities between the American right and Nazism, Italian fascism, and the French nativist politician Jean-Marie Le Pen." What does the post-Vietnam wave of history books do with all the pages it does not dedicate to exposing the activities of the Ku Klux Klan? A sampling of major textbooks reveals a tendency to describe Franklin Roosevelt and his New Deal as the only possible salvation to a country racked by the failures of big business, or the Great Society as remarkable and impressive, despite the fact that it created the massive rise in black family breakup and illegitimacy. Native Americans, at least those Columbus didn't kill, are portrayed as wonderful environmentalists who lived in harmony with the buffalo. The founders, on the other hand, are often represented as moneyed interests who sought to cement their position at the top of the heap through the Constitution. Early presidents avoided all international entanglements and were backward isolationists. Andrew Jackson was the forerunner of new liberal Democrats and the opponent of the elites. And the causes of the Civil War were complex, including disagreements over the tariff and a clash of cultures. Abraham Lincoln only issued the Emancipation Proclamation because he was running out of white troops to prosecute the war. The Scopes trial exposed religious fundamentalism as unintellectual and unpopular. Prohibition failed in all its objectives, and government successfully stepped in to control the rapacious robber barons. While most of these books correctly characterize World War II, the conclusion of the war brings immediate questions about whether the United States used atomic diplomacy to bully the poor, helpless Soviet Union. Little attention is paid to Soviet spies, such as Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. It is far more interesting to demagogue Senator Joseph McCarthy for his attempts to expose communists in the U.S. government. Richard Nixon expanded the Vietnam War, but John F. Kennedy was going to pull us out if he had lived. The dense and lazy Ronald Reagan merely regurgitated policies developed by his staff and knew Star Wars would not work. While none of the texts I have surveyed go so far as to claim the United States deserved the 9/11 attacks, some of the more radical histories question whether the World Trade Center was actually hit by airplanes, and many perpetuate the notion that terrorists were merely poor, downtrodden, uneducated people who hated the United States because of our support for Israel. The list of historical lies, distortions, and myths is extensive. How is it that this book is limited to exposing only 49? In fact, while many had to be left out or combined, others were selected because they proved easier cases to clearly disprove.